Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Revenant is a legend that rewards smart positioning, quick last minute thinking with his ultimate and fast movement skills up close and personal. It takes a lot to master Revenant, but it's well worth learning, both as a solo player or when playing with a team. I'm about to break down the tiny little details about Revenant's kit that the ability page doesn't tell you about. This is the kind of advanced information anybody that wants to main Revenant should know. We'll first explain the nitty gritty details like how fast Revenant can crouch, how exactly his ultimate works, and some missed details about how his passive and tactical can be pushed to their limits. After that, we'll offer a big list of advanced tips you can use for Revenant. First, let's talk about the tactical ability. If you hold down the tactical button, it may look like you're moving slower, but you are still going the full run speed. This means you can hold down the button and push closer so that you can line up your tactical shot better. On top of this, you can press the weapon equip buttons whilst holding down the tactical button to re-equip your weapon. This way you can fire as soon as you throw your tactical, or even fire it whilst you're still holding the tactical button down. If you want to cancel your tactical without wasting it, simply press the melee button. The tactical will do 10 damage on hit, and it will silence enemy abilities. However, any already active abilities like Wraith's Void, Bloodhound's Ultimate, or Pathfinder's Grapple will still remain active until they have completely finished. Another thing to realize is that whilst the tactical looks like it has a large area of effect, it's a lot smaller than you'd think, so it's well worth aiming it up carefully. I often find it's best to just push a player with my tactical button held down, then start firing and throw it at their face whilst firing. Another crazy tip is that you can aim down sights whilst holding down the tactical button. This means you can get a better view of what you're aiming at and make sure you actually hit the ability on target. You can even do this with a sniper scope. You can see on screen now how beneficial this can be. Now let's explain the passive. So being able to climb higher is useful, but what's the point of Revenant crouch walking faster? Well, many people don't realize that by crouch walking, your footsteps are silent to enemies. This means you can sneak up on enemies, third parties, and prepare surprise attacks. It also allows you to rotate around cover when finding an enemy right next to you to confuse them about your position. The speed of Revenant's crouch walking matches the speed of walking without sprinting, and also the same speed as sidestepping or hip firing a weapon. It's a velocity of 199. It is about double that of the normal crouching speed of other legends, which is 98 velocity. We'll talk more about the crazy benefits this offers later, because this is surprisingly more useful than many would think. Next, let's look at Revenant's climbing. When a legend climbs a wall, you will start at 271 velocity and it will quickly drop down to 0 as you start climbing up. With Revenant, it also starts at 271 velocity, but it goes down at a slower rate. This means that whilst Revenant has the same start wall climbing speed as other legends, because it slows down slower, Revenant can climb some walls quicker. From my test, I found that Revenant can climb this wall in the firing range 25% quicker than other legends, and of course Revenant can climb a higher total height because he doesn't hit 0 velocity until much later. This brings so much value, and we'll talk more about that in my advanced tips section for Revenant. First though, let me explain how the ultimate works. First, when you place the Death Totem ultimate, it has a timer. It will last 30 seconds before disappearing. That means that you should use the shadow ability as quickly as possible. If the timer runs out before you die, you will return back to non-shadow form. When you enter the Death Totem, you'll only take health damage, which means you can only take a maximum of 100 damage as a shadow. However, the flip side of this is that when you get back to the totem, you'll still have all of your shields. Whilst you're in shadow mode, nothing changes about your character. You can still use your abilities and weapons, and you stay the same speed and can't climb walls higher like you could in fight or fright mode. The Death Totem also has a limited range. Although it's quite large, you'll notice a blue radius surrounding the Death Totem once it's placed. If you leave this radius, you'll instantly leave shadow mode, and any health damage you've taken will still be lost back in human form. This can be useful in some cases. For example, if you want to stay in your location and don't want to get teleported back. A great example of this is if a caustic is camping your Death Totem, you wouldn't want to teleport back because you'll respawn with 1 tick of health and a single caustic gas trap will down you instantly. You also get a small UI icon that shows you how long the totem has left before it disappears, so make sure to pay attention to that. The Death Totem can be destroyed just like many other placeable items, so place it carefully. It will only take 3 or 4 shots to destroy an enemy totem. So that's pretty much all of the details covered for the passive, tactical and ultimate. Now let's talk about some more advanced tips you can use during gameplay. Caustic traps stop Revenant ults respawn, because when you put the caustic trap down, if a player goes back to the death totem, they'll have 1 tick of health, which means they will automatically die. So it's a great counter to Revenant, and if you play Revenant, it's something you will really have to look out for. Revenant is silent when crouching, so use that to crouch around cover, to get up close, use that to confuse enemies about your position. Because Revenant can crouch the same speed as walking, you can crouch all the time when strafing and you'll move as fast as walking, but be extremely hard to hit. ADFs with Wingman and crouch and use the WASD strafe span trick I've taught in a previous video, and suddenly Revenant becomes a literal nightmare to hit. Revenant's ultimate will get destroyed quite often, so listen out for the dialogue cue from Revenant that will let you know it's destroyed. As soon as it's destroyed, you will no longer be in shadow form, which means you could potentially run out to kamikaze at a full squad without your free respawn available. Don't put the Revenant totem in a door frame or near movable terrain because it will get instantly destroyed. If you like sniping, one good tip is to place a totem behind cover and then peek in and out whilst in shadow form. If you die, you'll just spawn back right there behind cover. It's like a free life. One of the best things you can do when pushing a building is to place the totem behind a small piece of cover where it's slightly hidden, then get all of your team to use the shadow form together and then push the building immediately. If you will die, you have a chance to heal back up at a safe spot before pushing back in again. Another great tip for crouching is that because you are silent, you can play around cover really smartly. I'm sure we've all had fights where we are listening carefully for an enemy's footsteps as we are both rotating around cover. With Revenant, you could run one way, then crouch and turn back the other way, and players will have no idea where you are. It's up to you to know when to crouch and when to run. For example, if a player is chasing you down, sometimes crouching quickly in tight areas with lots of corners will help you to lose them. They won't hear your footsteps anymore, which is one of the main reasons they would be able to keep chasing you. Of course, out in the open, it makes more sense to just sprint. Because Revenant has faster wall climbing, like I mentioned earlier, it can be really effective to climb all around the buildings you're fighting and always use walls to climb around to bamboozle your opponents. Use your wall climbing passive to get on top of roofs and boxes to create the high ground advantage and be as frustrating as possible for your enemies. Unfortunately, because of the way Revenant's climbing ability works, you can't wall jump as well as you can with other legends. However, you can climb up walls and then jump off them by pressing backwards as soon as you jump, and you sort of get a little bit of a boost, which is a decent enough alternative. Another cool tip that I want to show you is that you can use an arc star or another grenade. You can prime it and prime the tactical at the same time. So let's say you use the tactical and the arc star and you're kind of getting ready to surprise someone who is maybe standing still while looting or about to open an airdrop. You're going to be able to do a guaranteed 100 damage from the arc star stick and the tactical damage combined. The arc star will then slow the opponent, their abilities will be silenced. The chances of them surviving are pretty low. Once the arc star explodes, they're probably going to be dead, but if not, then you can just shoot them a couple times and you're good to go. So yeah, this is quite a good idea as well. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about Revenants Animation. So it seems the best way to use Revenant is, well, just to crouch whilst you're fighting, but if you are wanting a bit more mobility, then you can do double tap crouch spamming instead of spamming repeatedly really fast. If you spam really fast with Revenant, it kind of doesn't really do the animation properly, so double tap crouch spam as you strafe left to right and you'll have much better results with that. So that's all of my tips for Revenant so far. I hope that this video has proven to be useful. I'm still learning more about how to play Revenant, but I feel like he's one of the most interesting legends to learn, and his little crouching and wall climbing mechanics are something that are going to take a long time to master. The way the velocity works on these things is very unique, so it has a lot of potential that we haven't yet realized. So make sure to give Revenant your best try. Don't downplay him as a bad legend. I feel like Revenant may not be amongst the absolute best, like say Wraith and Gibraltar, but he's perhaps amongst the middle to top tier legends. We'll have to see how the meta plays out and how players get better with him, but just be warned, I feel like a lot of people are going to get good with Revenant and he's going to become a very frustrating legend to play against. So if you want to be that kind of player, you should learn now and get ahead of the curve. Everybody is learning him now, so it's the best time to, get dug in and learn all of his little tricks and secrets, and hopefully this video will be a great start. So that's it for today. I hope that this video was interesting. I think that there's so many things to cover in Season 4, so let me know what you'd like to see next. Should I do a video covering all the best weapons, all the new legend rankings after the change, maybe a weapon tier list? Should I look at the new areas on the map, or just do a general big tips or tricks list? Or do you want to see some more just Season 4 gameplay? Let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have any more of your own suggestions that could be good for other players wanting to play Revenant, put them in the comments. I'll see you there. Cheerio!